The new Daytona. What's up, YouTube? My name is Christophernegroni, and today we're talking about the new Daytona. The newest new Daytona. The special edition created to celebrate 100 years of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Is this the best Daytona ever created? More importantly, why did Rolex choose to create this Daytona? Because I'll tell you, yes, on the surface, this is an innocent Daytona, created to celebrate this illustrious race. However, underneath all that, I believe this is part of a much bigger plan from Rolex, something much more devious. And this is just Act 1, my friends. So the brand spanking new Daytona, just new eye candy that we can't buy right now. Let's quickly go over the details, what's different from this special edition, from the new Daytona. And then I want to talk about how this is just the beginning of a genius marketing campaign for the brand. This brand new Daytona, reference 126529LN, still 40 millimeters, but now with a redesigned case that has been harmonized through all metal configurations. Now, this special edition that celebrates the 24 Hours of Le Mans does so with many firsts for the brand. We've got the first white gold Daytona with a ceramic bezel, the first white gold Daytona with an open case back. So we now have two Daytonas that feature this open case back, this special edition in white gold and the platinum versions. Now, I think this is somewhat of a clue, something that reveals something, and we're gonna come back to that. Now, my favorite feature, it's gotta be the return of the so-called exotic dial, something that harkens back to the now infamous Paul Newman Daytonas that featured those quirky sub-dials. Now, it's kind of funny looking back at the history of the Paul Newman Daytona with those exotic dials, the manually wound Daytonas. You literally couldn't give these things away. Okay, maybe not literally. In a lot of instances, you could buy, say, a day date, right? And a sales associate would throw in a Daytona with it just to kind of say thanks, kind of the way they give away a pen or a hat nowadays. Instead, they'd give you one of the most coveted watches in all of history today. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. So this watch has gone from couldn't give it away to probably one of Rolex's most coveted watches in all of their history, being spotted on celebrities' wrists today. You know, the other day I saw one on Drake's wrist. Drake bought a Paul Newman Daytona. So the exotic dial is back. Well, kind of, you know, it's the sub-dials are. The ceramic bezel on this special edition comes with a dash of red ceramic inlaid in the 100 of the bezel. Lastly, something that is kind of getting overlooked is the fact that there is a different movement versus all of the other Daytonas in the lineup. The caliber 4132 has one change that, albeit is minor, to me is kind of a perfect change. Now, instead of doing this special edition by plastering 24 Hours of Le Mans all over the dial or putting a little race car in one of the sub-dials, something probably another brand would do, Omega. Instead, they changed the 12-hour counter to now time up to 24 hours. 24 hours. 24 Hours of Le Mans. I mean, come on. Come on. That's such a clever way of, you know, commemorating this race, you know, of celebrating this race. Touche. Touche, Rolex. So that's the watch. You know, it's a beautiful Daytona, something that unfortunately you, me, we're not going to get this watch, you know, and it's unfortunate because this is probably the most perfect Daytona that they've ever created to this date. I mean, it's got everything. It's got a dash of special, you know, it's new. It's got the best movement. It's got the right proportions, and it's in precious metal. But why are we getting this watch? That's what I want to talk about. Why are we getting this watch right now? So I believe this is part of a much bigger plan, something that Rolex has been waiting to unveil. They've been kind of throwing out little breadcrumbs, letting us kind of catch it as it falls. Little breadcrumbs. So let's summarize a few important events that unfolded around this watch this year. March 28th, 2023. Multiple publications report that 2 more Paul Newman Daytonas found years ago just sitting in a desk would go to be auctioned off in June. March 31st, 2023, Rolex guts the entire Daytona lineup and unveils the brand new Daytona with a redesigned case, a steel ring around the bezel, and hour markers that just so happen to look like one of the Paul Newman Zenith Daytonas that will be auctioned off in June. Now, is it a coincidence? Could be a coincidence that these brand new Daytonas, they look a lot like these Daytonas that are going to be auctioned off. So let's continue. Let's see what happens next. June 9th, 2023, Sotheby's Fine Arts Auction sells the white gold black dial Daytona for $1,079,500, while the white dial Zenith Daytona reached $1,143,000. While on the surface this may seem impressive for 2 wristwatches to sell for such large sums of money, but compared to the historic $17.8 million transaction that took place with the original Paul Newman 6 years later, this feels like a big disappointment. But that's a whole different story. June 10th, 2023. Not less than the 24 hours of Le Mans itself, do we get a brand new special edition Daytona. Coincidence? Or brilliant marketing? Those events alone are an example of how Rolex can generate newfound excitement through their emotional marketing. They've managed to release a new Daytona, pump the stock of this model, just like they did in 2016 with the release of the ceramic Daytona. But I believe that Rolex has much more up their sleeves because, as seen by these auction results, it's going to take a lot more than the same old strategy to pump up the Daytona again. And I think Rolex knew that this time. This new Rolex Daytona, it isn't just a special edition. It's a delineation of the Rolex Daytona line. At $51,400, you now have a premium line of Daytona. By clearing the line of all the colorful dials of the past, all the dials everyone fought over, now Rolex has control. They want to be the one to tell their customer which Rolex to fight over. See, we thought Rolex doesn't do vintage inspired. Rolex doesn't put open casebacks on their sports watches. Hold your horses there. Hold your horses there, okay? Okay, buddy? Because now we do. And it's gonna be in our premium line of sports watches. This is pure genius. This is pure genius, all while being so evil. Because for those collectors that thought they were done with Rolex, those collectors that got all the GMTs, all the Submariners, they collected all the Daytonas. They got the rainbow Daytona. They got the platinum Daytona. They thought they were done. They thought they had filled their bellies with Rolex. They thought they could move on to Patek. They thought they could go and collect independence. Oh, no, my friends. Right when you thought you were done with Rolex, Rolex unveils a premium line of their most coveted Rolex pieces, and back to the abyss. Back into the abyss you go, to the waiting list, back to spending history, running up that spending history, buying all the watches in the store just for the chance to buy this brand new watch. Pure genius. Evil. And all of this just so you're the biggest, baddest collector at your local Red Bar event. They got us. They got us good, guys. And like I've been saying, this is just the beginning, okay? This is just the beginning because an exotic dial Paul Newman Daytona in a modern Daytona case, modern technology, case construction, that's just one of the many variations that we've been begging Rolex to bring back. Don't forget, you've got double red Sea Dwellers, you've got single red Submariners, you've got the albino Explorer, you've got the original white dial GMT created for Pan Am. These are all coming. These are all coming in precious metals. They're gonna be $50,000 and above, and you're gonna want every single one of them. This is the new Rolex, the future of Rolex, and sadly, It's moving further and further away from their heritage. Although it may seem like they're trying to connect to their heritage with these vintage-inspired cues, it's actually them moving further away, becoming less accessible with every special edition. Gone are the days of a watch company creating robust tool watches for the professional in their industry. But I get it though. It's a smart business move to slowly move your brand upstream. Instead of back in the day when they actually had to sell watches, they would have to bring value to the customer. They would have to sell a watch kind of like a car, you know? You had the GMT Master 2 and the GMT Master 1 in the same lineup. Why would you have both in the same lineup? Well, one was a little bit cheaper. Both great watches, and they offered great value at the GMT Master 1 level. You know, great watch for the professional in their industry. And they'd actually have to sell you on that watch. But why would you compete for the pennies down low when you can push for the millions up top? Now, unfortunately, that may mean that guys like you and me, the guys that just love these tool watches, the guys that love to buy something and cherish it and wear it every day and hopefully pass it on to our kids, those guys, they might just be pushed out not the back door, but the front door. Damn. Well, now I'm bummed. Guys. Damn it. But tell me what you think, guys. Am I being dramatic? Does this all make sense? Is it all a bunch of incoherent rambling? Hey, maybe Rolex, maybe they're innocent in all this. Maybe they just want to create this cool new Daytona to celebrate 100 years of Le Mans. You know, after all, they're a non-profit, right? They're a charity. They're all about the watches, okay? See, even you don't believe me. It's all about the Benjamins. Well, that's all I got. Negroni out.